There's a quiet thief that slips into the lives of many people over 50. It doesn't shout. It doesn't announce itself with drama. Instead, it creeps in with stiffness in the morning, with knees that complain when you climb stairs, with hands that ache when you twist open a jar. This thief is inflammation, and left unchecked, it can rob us of the simple joys of independence. But here's the good news. It doesn't always take complicated treatments or expensive prescriptions to fight back. Sometimes the most powerful medicine begins in your own kitchen. I'm Dr. Brian, and welcome to Channel Wellness Blueprint Over 50. Today I want to share with you 5 soups that are more than just comforting meals. They are soothing, anti-inflammatory allies designed to ease arthritis pain and bring warmth to both body and spirit. Let's step into the kitchen together and explore these healing bowls. When Margaret, a 67-year-old retired teacher, first came to see me, she described her mornings as battles. Her fingers were stiff, her knees reluctant to bend, and even preparing breakfast felt like a negotiation with her joints. What struck me most was when she said, "I feel like my body has betrayed me." We began small changes, one of which included bringing anti-inflammatory foods into her daily meals. That's how turmeric ginger chicken soup entered her life. Within weeks, she told me those mornings felt more manageable, like the volume on her pain had been turned down. Turmeric, with its golden hue, contains curcumin, a natural compound studied extensively for its ability to reduce inflammation. Think of inflammation like a tiny fire smoldering inside your joints, irritating the tissues day after day. Curcumin acts like a gentle rain that helps dampen those flames. A study published in the Journal of Medicinal Food showed that curcumin supplementation reduced joint pain and improved mobility for people with arthritis. Ginger joins the fight as a super root, calming down the production of inflammatory chemicals, while also adding a warmth that comforts both body and spirit. The beauty of this soup is its simplicity. It begins with a base of garlic and ginger sizzling in olive oil, their aromas filling the kitchen. Carrots and celery follow, adding sweetness and crunch. Then comes the turmeric, painting the broth a deep golden color. Lean chicken pieces simmer until tender, releasing protein that supports tissue repair and muscle strength, crucial for staying mobile as we age. Each spoonful is layered with both flavor and healing properties. For Margaret, this wasn't just soup. It became a ritual of self-care, a way of saying to her body, "I'm here for you." She sometimes paired it with a small side of quinoa, making it even more filling while still being light enough for digestion. The warmth soothed her stiff joints, but more importantly, it gave her hope. Food, she realized, could be both comfort and medicine. When you make turmeric ginger chicken soup, you're not just feeding your hunger. You're nourishing your joints, calming hidden fires of inflammation, and creating a dish that feels like a hug in a bowl. And isn't that what healing should feel like? I'll never forget Samuel, a 72-year-old grandfather who loved gardening but had nearly given it up. He told me that pulling weeds and bending over to tend his plants left him aching for days. His hands felt heavy, and his knees refused to cooperate. But what really broke him was when his granddaughter asked, "Grandpa, why don't you come play outside with me anymore?" That question lit a fire in him, and together we began building small, nourishing habits to bring him relief. One of his favorites quickly became lentil soup with spinach, and not just because it was hearty and satisfying. It became the bridge back to his garden. Lentils are tiny, but they carry enormous power. They're rich in protein to help repair tissues, and their high fiber content steadies blood sugar, keeping inflammation in check. Imagine your blood sugar like waves in the ocean. When it spikes and crashes, the turbulence fuels inflammation, making arthritis pain worse. Lentils keep those waves calm and steady, protecting your joints from the storm. Spinach joins in with magnesium, a mineral that relaxes muscles and eases tension, and with vitamins A and C that support collagen, the protein that cushions your joints and keeps them flexible. The process of making this soup is as comforting as the taste. You begin with olive oil in a pot where garlic, onion, and carrots slowly release their sweetness in depth. As the aroma builds, lentils and tomatoes join, creating a rich, hearty base. Vegetable broth ties everything together, and as the lentils soften, fresh spinach is stirred in, wilting into the warmth of the soup while infusing it with deep green vitality. Each ingredient layers not just flavor, but a defense system against the aches that can steal your mobility. Samuel found that having this soup for lunch a few times each week gave him more consistent energy. His knees still protested from time to time, but they no longer dictated his life. He was back in his garden by spring, hands deep in the soil, and more importantly, he could kneel beside his granddaughter as she planted her first flowers. Lentil soup with spinach reminds us that powerful healing doesn't need to be complicated. Sometimes the most effective arthritis pain relief comes not from a pill bottle, but from a pot simmering gently on the stove. Each spoonful is both nourishment and empowerment, helping you reclaim the simple joys that matter most. There's something magical about the way food can comfort us, not just in body, but in spirit. I remember sitting with Helen, a 70-year-old widow who often told me the hardest part of arthritis wasn't the pain itself. It was the loneliness that came from avoiding dinners with friends, afraid of stiff joints, or the embarrassment of needing help to stand. Cooking had once been her joy, but over time she lost her appetite for it. When I suggested butternut squash soup, her eyes softened. "I used to make that for my husband every fall," she whispered. It wasn't just a recipe for her. It was a doorway back to connection. Butternut squash is more than just a sweet, velvety vegetable. Its bright orange flesh is packed with beta-carotene, which the body transforms into vitamin A nutrient that protects cells and eases inflammation. It's also brimming with vitamin C, which helps produce collagen, that cushiony protein in our joints that keeps them moving smoothly. Think of oxidative stress, the wear and tear caused by free radicals in the body, like rust slowly forming on metal. The antioxidants in squash work like a gentle polish, slowing down that rust, protecting your joints from further damage. The preparation is simple but deeply satisfying. You start by sautéing onions and garlic until their fragrance fills the air, then add cubes of butternut squash and carrots, each piece like a jewel in the pot. A warm broth brings it all together, simmering until the vegetables turn soft. Then with a blender, the soup transforms into a silky golden velvet. A dash of nutmeg or cinnamon can add a whisper of warmth, reminding you of autumn evenings and cozy kitchens. When Helen made this soup again for the first time in years, she didn't just taste nourishment. She tasted memory, comfort, and the strength to invite a neighbor over to share it. She later told me, "I realized healing doesn't always come from what you take away, but sometimes from what you bring back." Her arthritis didn't vanish, but the pain felt lighter when paired with laughter at her dinner table. Butternut squash soup is gentle on digestion, naturally gluten-free, and full of anti-inflammatory power. More than that, it's a reminder that food can be medicine for the body and balm for the soul. Each spoonful is creamy comfort that tells your joints and your heart that they're cared for, that life can still taste sweet and healing. One of my patients, Robert, 74, once told me that arthritis made him feel like his world was shrinking. "I used to love going out for Italian food with my wife," he said, "but now even holding a fork for long is uncomfortable." It was more than joint pain. It was the loss of rituals that once brought joy. When I introduced him to the idea of a homemade tomato basil soup, he chuckled. "So, you're giving me Italian food back, Doc?" And in a way, yes, that bowl of ruby red comfort became his bridge to something familiar and joyful again. Tomatoes are a quiet powerhouse in the fight against inflammation. They contain lycopene, an antioxidant that acts like a shield against oxidative stress, which otherwise fuels the fire of arthritis. Imagine oxidative stress as tiny sparks flying around your joints, slowly wearing them down. Lycopene works like a protective blanket, preventing those sparks from causing damage. Studies have shown that diets rich in tomatoes and tomato products are linked to reduced markers of inflammation in the body. Basil joins the story with its fragrant oils, especially eugenol, which helps calm inflammatory enzymes, like gently turning down the volume on pain signals. Making tomato basil soup is simple, yet it feels indulgent. You begin with onions and garlic sizzling in olive oil, their aroma filling the kitchen. Fresh or canned tomatoes are added, simmering until they soften and meld into a rich sauce. A gentle broth deepens the flavor, and once everything has bubbled together, a blender transforms it into a smooth, velvety soup. The final flourish is fresh basil leaves stirred in at the end, releasing their peppery, slightly sweet oils into the warmth of the pot. For Robert, this wasn't just nourishment. It became a way to reclaim an old tradition with his wife. They set the table again, poured small glasses of sparkling water, and enjoyed their tomato basil soup as if they were back at their favorite trattoria. It's not just the taste, he told me later. It's the feeling that I got a piece of my life back. This soup is light yet deeply satisfying, a perfect choice for lunch or dinner. It delivers joint pain relief through its antioxidants, while the aroma of basil soothes the mind. Every bowl is a reminder that even with arthritis, flavor and joy don't need to be sacrificed. Instead, with each spoonful, you can rediscover comfort, health, and the pleasure of sharing a meal you truly love. Elaine, 69, came to see me after a particularly rough winter. She described her fatigue as walking through molasses, and her arthritis flares made even folding laundry feel like a marathon. What struck me most was her frustration with food. I feel like I either eat bland meals that do nothing for me, or I give in to comfort foods that make the pain worse, she said. That's when I introduced her to sweet potato and black bean soup, a dish that is both deeply comforting and powerfully anti-inflammatory. Within a month, she told me it had become her favorite dinner, giving her not only flavor, but a sense of renewed strength. Sweet potatoes bring a bright burst of nutrition. Their orange flesh is rich in beta-carotene, which the body transforms into vitamin A, helping reduce oxidative stress and protecting joint tissue. They're also full of vitamin C and potassium, nutrients that lower inflammation and support muscle function. Think of them as sunshine in food form, lighting up tired cells and fueling recovery. Black beans, on the other hand, are earthy and grounding. They provide plant-based protein to help repair tissues and are packed with anthocyanins, antioxidants that work like guardians, shielding your joints from further wear and tear. Together, they create a powerful partnership: energy from complex carbohydrates, strength from protein, and resilience from antioxidants. The cooking process is straightforward yet rewarding. Start with garlic and onion, gently sautéed in olive oil until fragrant. Add diced sweet potatoes and cooked black beans, then pour in vegetable broth. As the soup simmers, the sweet potatoes soften, blending their natural sweetness with the savory beans. Spices like cumin, chili powder, and smoked paprika add a depth and warmth, while a squeeze of fresh lime juice at the end lifts the flavors and brightens the dish. What emerges is a colorful, nourishing bowl that satisfies hunger while easing inflammation. For Elaine, this soup became a symbol of balance. She didn't have to choose between health and comfort anymore. She could sit down to a steaming bowl that filled her with warmth, steadied her energy, and actually helped calm her arthritis pain. Her voice brightened when she told me, "It feels like I'm eating food that wants me to feel better." Sweet potato and black bean soup is naturally gluten-free, vegan, and incredibly nutrient-dense. Each spoonful delivers joint pain relief, steady energy, and a sense of satisfaction that carries you through the day. And perhaps most importantly, it reminds us that food should never be about restriction. It should be about celebration, nourishment, and the joy of healing. If there's one truth I've learned in decades of caring for older adults, it's that healing doesn't always come in dramatic gestures. Sometimes it's in the quiet act of stirring a pot, of choosing ingredients that whisper comfort and strength into your body. These 5 soups: golden turmeric chicken, hearty lentil with spinach, creamy butternut squash, fragrant tomato basil, and vibrant sweet potato with black beans, are more than recipes. They are small daily victories, gentle allies in your journey toward less pain and more joy. You deserve that. I'm Dr. Brian, and until next time, stay nourished, stay hopeful.